In this video, I'm going to introduce you to one of Monkey Tools' pro features, which is called the Time Sleuth. And the data that I'm working with here is the PQ VLOOKUP function, which was a custom function that I wrote for the book M is for Data Monkey. Now, as it turns out, you should absolutely not use this in the real world. What I built was something to replicate the VLOOKUP function because a Power Query did not have an approximate match, but it turns out this was a very inefficient way to deal with it. And this is why it's actually not in my second book. We've got a better version that allows us to perform an approximate match. Now you'll notice over here that I have 5 queries that are loaded to specific destinations. I have a couple of staging queries that are loaded as connection only, and of course the PQ VLOOKUP function, which is loaded as connection only as well. I'm going to pop open the Time Sleuth, and what I want to show you is that there are only 5 queries listed here. The connection-only queries and custom functions do not show up, and this is because in order to time the results of a query, the query must load somewhere. We cannot time the results of a connection-only query. Now, with that understanding, let's take a look at what we have here. The queries are listed in alphabetical order, and this is the order when we start doing more advanced refreshes that they will run in. Should you want to change that, you can select one, move it down, move it back up. You can select all the queries or clear the selections. If you happen to be making changes to your queries and you make a change in the Power Query pane, remember you can interact with Excel while you're using our tools. So if you do that, you can always update the query list, and that will force it to make sure that everything is up to date before you get into your timing. Now, the main important things I want to talk about right now, we'll talk about ignoring privacy in the next video. But for right now, I want to talk about the difference between a detailed refresh and a standard refresh. And basically what these are is the standard refresh is essentially the same as clicking the refresh all button, clicking the stopwatch at the start of it, and clicking it again as soon as it ends. So this is just a rudimentary timer to go through, refresh all of the queries, as you can see is going on over on the right-hand side here, timing them all up, and when it's done, it's going to drop that answer right inside here to tell you exactly how long it took to refresh all these queries. It's almost done, and there we go. So it took 17.98 seconds this time. Something really important to understand about the Time Sleuth is that's how long the query took this time. There are a lot of things that go into the timing performance of queries, including what else is running on your system, how many different queries you have, how complicated they are, and all kinds of things. Because Power Query sends this out to a processor, it will vary. And this is something that you'll see if you go back and click a standard refresh again, we're probably going to, well, definitely going to get a different time. How significant it is shouldn't be totally significant unless you happen to be sending your Power Query to a thread that's maybe competing with Teams or a software that's recording video. But let's see what happens this time. We had 17.9 last time. We've got 19.54 this time, so it's taking a little bit longer. So that's the standard refresh. It's basically pressing refresh all, but timing the output of what happens. Now the detailed refresh, remembering this took about 18 to 19 seconds, the detailed refresh refreshes every query individually. And what you can see here is it runs through because some of these are faster than others. And this is actually kind of the point of the Time Sleuth, is to tell you which queries are taking the most amount of time so that if you are going to get into trying to tweak query performance, you know which ones in your overall refresh you should be focused on. The way that you read this is that we actually start, we tell you what time this actually started. We log how long it took to refresh that specific query as well as what the cumulative time was. So buffered only took 1.1 seconds. UI driven took 0.31 seconds, which is taking us to a total of 1.42 seconds in our refresh. You can see 3.14 for the compound, 1.95 for the UI driven data model query, and 9.8 seconds, by far the largest amount of time for this unbuffered refresh. And if we go back and do it again, the results should come in similar in shape. Some of them may be a little bit faster, some of them might be a little bit slower, but what I would expect to see here is that overall, that unbuffered query is going to take by far the lion's share of this time. If you add them all up, you can see again we're at 16.4 seconds. That's pretty close to the 17 that we got, but it's never going to exactly match because again, as queries are sent out, they're sent out to different cores and processes that are all competing for resources there. And the important thing to realize is that Power Query, when you send a refresh all, tries to optimize that and do a little bit better with it. Now that wasn't evident in the refresh it just did, most likely because I'm actually recording video on this at the same time. But at the same time, this is the way your query timings work. So run a few runs, see how it works, try changing the orders. It might actually affect things a little bit as well. But overall, the whole purpose of this tool is really to go through and allow you to time the performance of different versions of queries to see which one might be faster, or get a good idea as to which one takes the longest inside the file that you're running so that you can get an idea of which one to go and actually tune the performance on. Thanks for watching this episode of Using Monkey Tools. To get your own monkey, visit our website at monkeytools.ca. Or if you subscribe to Skillwave's Self-Service Business Intelligence Academy, you'll get a free annual pro license included with your subscription. And remember, Monkey Tools was developed to support better Excel and Power BI solutions. If you want to learn how to really master these tools, you should definitely check out our full course catalog at skillwave.training.